Evening, sports fans. What's going on, y'all? You are listening to the very first episode of the Sports Couple Perspective right here, live on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. What's going on, y'all? How's everybody doing tonight? It's a beautiful Friday evening. It is Friday, January 8th, 2021. And now that I think about it, it's officially 3 months ago that my beautiful girlfriend Cecilia and I celebrated her birthday, because her birthday is, of course, on the 8th of October. And mine's coming up in a couple of weeks on February 1st. But I just wanted to say that because, I just looked at the date, January 8th, 2021, and that, I believe, is a perfect cue to bring in my gorgeous woman, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming, of course, my co-host for this show, the love of my life, my future wife, and the woman of my dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, happy to have her here tonight. Welcome in. Lovely Cecilia. What's going on, babe? Glad to have you here tonight.
Hello. Glad to be here.
She sounds so thrilled, doesn't she? She sounds very peachy to be here, huh?
I am.
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a fun one tonight. We're gonna be talking a little about some gender injustice, or if you may say gender inequalities, with a certain popular racing series around the world. We'll get into that in a little bit. And of course, we'll be talking about the movie of the week. A movie that I think Cecilia enjoyed. I hope she did. We watched it a little bit ago. And we're gonna have a movie of the week every single week, everybody. So be ready for it. She, of course, is looking for football only for the first couple of months. And why? Because she wants to learn more about the sport. She's awesome like that. And she's literally told me that's just one sport at a time for her, right, babe?
Yeah, so I don't get confused.
So she's just jumping on football at the moment, which I think is amazing. So it'll be for the next couple of weeks, some football movies. But never fail. But never fear. We will be, of course, talking about a lot more movies coming up. Football and plenty more. But as for tonight, those will be the topics. This is sports unlike you ever heard it. We got a couple here with one person. My beautiful woman here that's not necessarily the biggest diehard fan. But she's trying really hard, y'all, and she's doing a great job at it. And of course me, just the super diehard all the way around. I'll tell you what, be ready. This is going to be a fun show. You ready, babe?
Heck yeah.
With that said, once again, if you are just tuning in, thank you very much for joining us here tonight for the very first episode of the Sports Couple Perspective, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am very happy, of course, to be joined here by my beautiful woman, Cecilia. And kind of cool because, once again, we're just getting right into football. I'm so excited. It's football time. We got the playoffs coming up here. Some really good games come up this weekend. But with that said, big ups to our chat room right now. Terrence is all over it, man. This is Good Evening, Larry and Cecilia. Have an amazing show. This theme sounds familiar. Yes, Taryn. We actually picked out a theme earlier, but we were trying to pick out a theme, but we want to find a good one. We kind of ran out of time, huh, babe?
Yeah, we tried, but we were kind of crunched for time.
Yeah, so
hopefully by next week we'll have a song picked out for this new show.
Yeah, I know this is the theme for the defining moment. The defining moment will be returning next week, by the way. We're getting that ready. But Terrence says, I don't see Friday Night Lights. I have zero regrets. Any comments for Terrence?
I think it's worth the watch. You should watch it, especially if you like football and everything. Or sports in general, actually. But, yeah, it was really good. And it's based on a true story, so I think it makes it even better.
It really does. I remember seeing that. Believe it or not, babe. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll talk all about that. But short and sweet. Back in the Stone Age. It was 2006, my senior year. And, actually, babe, our head coach took us across the street to the theater as a team, and we watched that movie together as a team.
That's cool.
That was pretty cool. Really neat bonding thing there, but kind of cool, too, because we had the P's that year. We had the same helmet they did, just different colors, like the Permian P and everything. But anyway, we'll get into that in just a little bit. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. And once again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to the very first episode of the Sports Couple Perspective. That is the introduction, and we are now jumping on into our first topic here. And that's gonna have a little bit to do with a thing that we've basically had a little bit of fun with talking over the last couple of... actually, we started talking about it yesterday. But our first major topic is... this isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but at the same exact time, it could kind of be a terrible thing. What do you think, babe? I mean, I know we haven't even announced it yet, but without even letting our listeners know, do you think it's I want to do this before. I want to get that out before. Do you think it's a great idea, or do you think it's an idea that do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's a concept that might just kind of fall on its face?
Yeah. No, I mean, I would hope it wouldn't fall on its face. I think it's a good thing to start out with first. Well,
I agree. And with that said, let's jump on into it. We are talking about none other than the series that is the W Series. So, the W Series was a series of Formula 1 cars, or if they are Formula 3 cars, that were brought up a couple years back that basically made their very own league for women. As we know, this women's league was brought up to bring more awareness to women drivers in the Formula sports, of course, in Formula 1 type cars, in that type of racing, or open wheel, if we will, open wheel racing. And we've had, of course, Jamie Chadwick winning in Formula 3 before. We've seen some good drivers before, in those two series, and we've also seen a couple women in the past in Formula 1. But in the last 2 years, we've had, last of 2019 season. I can't even think if we had 2020 season. Last year was so messed up, but we're past that. But, ladies and gentlemen, what the W Series is a series given to women to get them more exposure, to supposedly get them to the Formula 1 level. And for those of you who don't know what Formula 1 is, that's okay. Formula 1, look it up. Great racing. Some of the best open wheel racing in the world. Probably some of the fastest cars on a track that's not NHRA. That's a strip. But in the world, though, Formula 1 is absolutely amazing. But there's no women in it. And it kind of seems like the people at the top are trying to keep women out. So, when it comes to women trying to get into the Formula 1, into a seat of those... into one of those seats of Formula 1, it just kind of seems like the heads of this particular, I guess we can say, sanctioning body or whatever of racing, are kind of saying, ladies, shut up. Here you go. It's fully funded, by the way. You don't have to worry about getting a sponsor or whatever. Fully funded. It's all the same cars, so no one's faster than anybody else, like Mercedes and Ferrari and Formula One dominating every single week. And here's your own personal deal. You can have it, go racing, go have fun. Now, we talked about this earlier today, and we watched a few videos and read an article that we'll be talking about in a little bit. But when there were a couple different perspectives, some women that are in the sport feel that this is ridiculous. Why can't women that are completely capable of being behind the wheel of a car race against men? There's no physical difference there. It's a car between behind the wheel of a machine, and it's an issue. Others, like another driver that we'll bring up in just a little bit, have said that no, even though it's just a car, it's still physical differences, and women don't belong racing against men, even in a vehicle. So there's two sides to this coin. Now I'm going to open this whole thing up here and open up to everybody listening. And of course, babe, I'm letting you have take the floor. The floor is yours. Give us your take. What do you think? You, of course, a woman, a beautiful woman, but you, of course, a woman who would like to see more equality. And of course, you're getting into sports. I know you want to see, more women competing and everything. Yeah. What are your thoughts about this whole league, babe?
I mean, right now, I think it's cool that they're doing that for the women. Obviously the women are getting their foot in the door, I feel like. But like you said, it's a car. It all depends on the driver and their skills. So I feel like that they should allow women compete against the men. I think just the men are more afraid of winning against a woman just because of their pride and everything like that. But they're driving the same thing and they have the same exact skills, probably even better. But that's the whole point of a competition, is to see who is the best.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more.
But at least they're starting this with the women, guaranteed, they're, separating the men and women. But hopefully everyone will open their eyes and see that, women are just as good as men in this kind of competition. Or even just driving.
I couldn't agree more, babe. And a couple of years back, by the way, this is not a new subject. This is about a couple of years old. But when this actual series got released, I'm looking here at an article. It's on drivetribe.com. This article here, of course, written by Helen Hicks 2 years ago, by the way. So you want to check it out. It's on drivetribe.com. Check it out. And she has a couple quotes in here. She especially has a picture, a tweet from when the W Series announced that about W Series, and Pippa Mann, well-respected woman in the racing community. And she says, "What a sad day for motorsports. Those with funding to help female racers are choosing to segregate them as opposed to supporting them. I am deeply disappointed to see such a historic step backwards take place in my lifetime." Babe, can you give us a little more of that perspective of what you believe she's kind of talking about in this?
She might say that it's sad just because they're segregating the men from women. But it's also a good thing because, they're seeing that women can do the same thing as men, I think. So, but obviously she wishes and hopes, as I, that, that people would just put their pride aside and let the women race against men.
I agree. And we'll get into more of those personal thoughts of ours coming up in a few minutes. But at the same time, there was also a comment, and I'm going to read this paragraph from Helen Hicks' article on drivetribe.com. Once again, you can catch it on drivetribe.com. Then there was Carmen Jorda's comments last year that caused a huge backlash. The Spanish driver advocated that women faced a physical disadvantage and therefore were able to compete at the top level with men. Surely, this invention is perhaps proving that she has a point? Elaborate on that.
That I really don't understand what she means. So, women might face physical disadvantages. I mean, they're all driving the same kind of car, so they both have. I mean, there's really doesn't. I don't think it really takes strength, right? I mean, it's just all about skills on driving a car and how to maneuver it. But yeah, I don't really understand her, I guess, point of view on that.
Me either. And this subject was touched by Daryl Kinsey Jr., Michael Ward, Caitlin Seam, and Alita Camelo 2 years ago on The Extra Mile. And I just wanted to revisit it because this is something that I feel it hasn't really gotten any better. This is my personal perspective. And babe, I want every bit. Give me every bit of how you feel about this, okay?
Okay.
And everybody out there listening, please jump in the chat room and let me know. This, to me, is Formula One's idea of saying, hey, shut up already. Women, we hear you. Can you please close your mouth now? We'll give you your very own little series because you won't stop complaining about driving Formula 1. Apparently Formula 3 and Formula 2 aren't good enough for you. So how about this? We just make you your own little series. We'll sponsor. How about this? We'll fund you guys so you can race and not have to worry about money. And you can hopefully just kind of be quiet and let the Formula 1 thing go. If we give you this little piece, can you kind of be quiet? And maybe one day we'll notice your talent and bring in one of you into a seat of Formula 1. But that's, of course, after we look at all of the males, because we don't really want a woman in Formula 1 anymore, or ever again. That's kind of my perspective of what they're saying. Now, feel free, babe. Go ahead and completely disagree, give me some kind of agreeance, or fully agree, whatever it is. The floor is yours once again. What do you think personally?
No, I can agree with that. I think it's just their way of saying, I think it's their way of saying, like, dang, I don't know where I was going to go with that, but, like, trying to make them be quiet, basically, and, instead of them having race with them, they say you basically have your own little league, basically.
Yeah, if anything, it's very frustrating. Because it's not right. To me, I don't feel it's right at all. I feel that's very wrong. That they're just basically trying to put a sock in it for the women and say, you know what? We're sick of you trying to talk so much about this. We don't necessarily want to hear it anymore. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of messed up. I don't like that.
Yeah, I feel like for something like this, it's equal. Like, at least it should be, gender equality and everything like that. We're trying to promote that in every aspect. But yet, you still have people who are trying to prevent that from happening just because, like, old habits die hard, basically. Because they see women as one thing and don't see them as equals. So they try to keep them segregated, basically.
And it's wrong. It's very wrong. I don't like this. I am very disappointed in the sanctioning body of Formula 1 because are you basically telling me that a woman can't get behind the wheel of one of these extremely... Okay, and I will say this, because if you think Formula 1 car is easy to control, go ahead and try it yourself. I mean, you know what I mean?
Obviously it takes skills.
Exactly.
And a lot of practice and knowing how to work the car and everything like that. And I can give them credit for that. But still, I mean, anybody can basically do it if they really put their heart and mind to it. Absolutely. And these women who are obviously racing are wanting this because they enjoy it just like the men do. So why punish them, basically?
I could not have said that better myself. This is why she's on the show with me, y'all, to make me sound better. Seriously, she's making this show actually sound good. I'm just the blabbermouth that keeps it going. Wonderful job, babe. Yeah, you got the applause button there. Great job. Absolutely, y'all. Because it's true. I honestly feel like we're taking a step backwards. I really do. Some women will say, hey, it's a platform and it's what we can get right now. And I can understand that too. It's what women can get at the moment. And you know what? I'm not mad at that. I'm just irritated at the fact that it had to come to this instead of being like, you know what? We got some chairs open. Because Lord knows some of these drivers in Formula 1 that are men suck something awful. Okay? And I'll be the first one to say it. I've been watching Formula One for a little bit now, and my goodness, it's like, seriously, guys, I'm not going to mention any names now, but there are some drivers where I'm like, how are they a driver in Formula One? And some of these women are really talented and very skilled. So I'm saying, if you think you can handle one of these cars, I don't know how you can get a hold of one, but jump behind the wheel. Okay? Paddle shifter, you got freaking like 7 gears, or 6. This is a very, very hard race car to maneuver. Oh, and by the way, did I mention you're hitting turns at about 200 miles an hour?
Oh, wow.
Maybe even more than that. These cars are but 4 tires, a chair in the middle, and 2 spoilers. It takes a little skill to drive these things, y'all.
Yeah.
Okay? And just so you know, every time you get behind the wheel of these things, you're risking your life at a very, 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 very high percentage. Okay, thank God the safety is good, and they make sure the tracks are safe, they make sure everything's safe. But regardless, it's scary. Even though they put the halo on the car now, to where if they flip over, it's not going to be on their helmet. Regardless, it's still a scary thing. So guess what? These women are very talented drivers. You know what? Let them race. Let them race. Right?
But I see it right now, I feel like this is a stepping stone for the women, and hopefully, they'll fight for competing against the men. Hopefully one day we'll all be able to see that, and they'll get what they deserve, basically.
I agree. As I told you earlier, babe, one of my favorite drivers in the NHRA, well, my dad's driver, John Force, he had 2 daughters. Well, 3 that raced. One of them is already a champion, and the other, she retired recently, but Courtney Force and Brittany Force. My favorite driver, besides John Force, she drives, by the way, the Monster Nitro Dragster. She just won her first title 2 years ago. Brittany Force.
Awesome.
You know how happy I am for her? Because gosh dang it, the NHRA doesn't say we don't want women. You know how many women are in NHRA? We got Erica Enders literally owning Pro Stock, okay? Other than Anderson, okay, and Line in Pro Stock, she dominates. She just won another title this past year. She's that good in Pro Stock. In Funny Car, Courtney Force was awesome. She gets retired. I think her and Graham Rahal, of course, IndyCar driver. I don't know if they're, trying for children coming up or whatnot, but she's in her early 30s. And you know what? She's doing great. She drove for a good amount of years. I don't know if she's coming back one day, but hopefully she does. And Brittany Force, the younger one, she's, I think, barely 30 or something like that. But when she was 28 or 29 a couple years back, she won her very first title in the NHRA.
Oh.
And you know what? Damn good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? She just proved, guess what? Women can go 330 miles an hour.
Heck yeah.
And they can also win. Now, I'm going to take a turn here that maybe people are going to not like me for. I'm probably going to catch some heat about this, and I'm sorry. I play football now for, 16 years. Okay, it'll be my 11th season this year. I've been training for the sport for very many years. I still do not believe that a woman should be in pads playing on a football field. Kicking's a little different. But I dread seeing the day that a woman is playing running back and she gets hit by a freaking monster like, Clay Matthews retired, but she gets hit by Aaron Donald. Okay? A big, giant monster. Okay? It's hard for me to fathom that, and I don't really want to. But there's certain things that I just feel, and I'm sorry, I'm not some bigot, I'm not sexist, I'm not whatever, but there's just certain things like American football that I just don't want to see a woman in because we're physically different, and I just feel like no matter what, no matter how beefed up and jacked up, so many things that yes, and by the way, I see Carol in the chat room here. Yeah, it says, so women can give birth but not play football. Look, if a woman wants to put herself in a situation, go out there and do it. But the physical differences
I don't even think it's the physical differences. I think it's more of the force behind the hits.
Absolutely. It's nasty.
And obviously has something to do with that too, but yeah, I think it's more of like those actual hits that it seems gruesome.
It really is. Carol's cracking me up. Personally, I put it like this. Girls have played high ball, and that's awesome. Division 1's a little scary. I don't think that would work. I mean, I know as a kicker right now, a girl's kicker, I believe. But I'm talking about NFL status. You're playing with a bunch of monsters on the field, and Carol says here, Once again, so women can give birth but not play football. Boo. And then, let's say you have a kid. Carol, I will openly admit, as a male, on January 8th, 2021 at 7:40 p.m. Pacific time, Carol, women are the stronger sex. I don't even care. I ain't pushing no child up out of my stuff, alright? That's not happening. Okay? I am not taking that. You guys can have all that. Mm-hmm. But I will say we're engineered differently. Our bodies are engineered so much differently. And when it comes to it, we just gain a lot of mass. Our bone density is a little tougher, from what I understand. I mean, I just feel like it's a lot tougher sport. I'm not saying that women can't play it, because there are women leagues that
they can definitely play.
They can play. I just don't think against a man. I don't want to see it. That's horrible. So she's too much. She's enjoying herself a glass of wine.
I can totally understand. Like, I understand there's strong women out there. For me, personally, I'm not that strong. So, like, I wouldn't want to play against guys at all. But, yeah, I mean, I know women want to do, or play that kind of game, but I don't know. I think I would have to agree with Larry on that one too, though. It's just the force, I think, just behind the hits. I mean, even just watching regular football, even watching these movies, it's just crazy. And I cannot imagine myself getting hit by someone bigger and stronger than myself.
And it's the truth. I mean, I just feel that it's the truth, y'all. And yeah, thanks, babe. I mean, I completely see here that this is a very touchy subject. It's hard, okay? Because I see it like this. Very simple. There are some differences, big time differences. But when it comes down to it, y'all, when it comes down to it, it's just the fact that, once again, it's a little bit different. Now, if a woman wants to go out there, by all means, do it.
Yeah.
But, well, the result is, that's up to her. Now, the reason why I say that is because men, we go out there and play this sport and still get seriously injured. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I'm just saying, like, once again, not saying, oh, women are these little weak things, because they're not. Once again, having a child, y'all can have that, my goodness. And then that one time a month thing, oh, no. Lord Jesus, I can't do that. Women are definitely stronger, and in all means, I don't give a crap. I'll say that a million times. But I'm just saying we're engineered differently, and that's all there is to it. Now, we have a lot of comments to catch up on. So, before we go ahead and jump on into that, well, in conclusion, let's go ahead and put a little bow on that part right there. So, but once again, in American football, I wouldn't want to see that. Soccer? Or for instance, Carly Lloyd. Babe, do you happen to know, and once again, you don't have to know, but do you happen to know who Carly Lloyd is?
No.
Has the name ever sounded familiar?
No. Is it a guy or a girl?
Carly Lloyd is a world-class soccer player. She plays on the women's national team. The women's national soccer team is way better than the men's. The men suck something awful. Okay, I can't even imagine. I don't know how the hell we're even a soccer team. But the women hold it down for the USA, alright? Numerous World Cups. And Carly Lloyd is one bad woman on that team. She was at a NFL camp because they invited her. Babe, would you like to know the average field goal that field goal kickers usually kick about in the NFL? How many yards?
No.
A good kicker can kick about 50 yards.
Wow.
50, maybe even 60 yards. Pretty far. That's very far.
Yeah.
Would you like to know what Carly Lloyd kicked at training camp?
What?
Carly Lloyd went on over, and I want to look at this right now. 55-yard field goal, and I want to play this right now from YouTube and show Cecilia this 55-yard field goal. Everybody, let's hear Cecilia's reaction.
Welcome back. Can she kick it? Yes, she can. Carly Lloyd at practice yesterday, showing off the leg. That's a 55-yard field goal with ease.
Okay, so I can't play too much more. I don't want to. That, by the way, was courtesy of CBS Philly. So at the Eagles training camp, by the way, CBS Philly on YouTube. This is a little video that I wanted to play there, but I just wanted to show that 55-yard field goal from Carly Lloyd. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was awesome.
She didn't even struggle. Yeah. It's like she
did it effortlessly.
Effortlessly. Like she's not even a place kicker. She just kicked it like a soccer ball. Mm-hmm. And the ball literally flew to the next area code.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Impressive, right?
Mm-hmm. Very.
So a woman can't kick a ball, apparently. Well, that proved everybody wrong. Mm-hmm. She can kick. But what I'm saying is on the field with 11 on 11, don't necessarily want to see her about there carrying the football or being a receiver or anything or a quarterback. But hey, kicker, I think that's legendary. 55 yards. Please, God, can the Raiders sign her? Please? God, Lord knows we need all the help we can get in the world right now. My gosh, we can sign Carly Lloyd, pay that woman. My gosh, my goodness, I'll gladly. I mean, I don't have any money, but I mean, hey, I'd give like $2 every month to help fund and but I'll tell you what, y'all, she is definitely a heck of an athlete, and baby, I mean, you saw that kick. Mm-hmm. Pretty impressive, right?
Yep.
A woman can also play soccer with men, I believe.
I believe that too.
How about baseball?
Yes.
How about basketball?
Yes.
As you can see, it's not just trying to be like, oh, well, football. I'm just saying, y'all, that there's a big difference. And, I mean, it's tough. But I do want to get some more of these comments now. We put a little bow on that commentary. So, at the end of the day, in conclusion, babe, a woman, I believe, if can play in all of those sports with men, why can't she get behind the wheel of a Formula 1 vehicle and race against men?
I don't know. I think they're just afraid.
I believe so too. And I'll tell you what, Ferrari, who has drivers that, are past their prime. Oh, did you hear that? Who said that? Past their prime? Oh, I'm sorry. I must have like somebody else in the room over here. But yeah, and Mercedes. Well, they got two good drivers, but I'm just saying that there's some drivers that could be shifted around. That, you know what? Why not give one of these women a chance?
Yeah, they should.
I'll tell you what. Oh, go ahead.
Well, like I said before, hopefully, obviously, they have their foot in the door. They're taking what they can get, basically. And they should not just be satisfied with this, but push forward to racing with the men and making it men and women. I
agree. Babe, I cannot wait until we get a woman in Formula 1. So that way you and I can cheer her on and become fans of hers. Like, no joke. Like, hey, I'm down to go to COTA. Those tickets are, oh my gosh. But Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. When and if, hopefully that does happen, and then all this COVID nonsense can go away and everything will go back to normal, hopefully, or at least the new normal, as Cecilia once said. Babe, I cannot wait, so we can go on over to Austin, Texas, and cheer her on and be very right.
That would be awesome,
right? I'm all about that. So let's go ahead and get on into these comments here. Terrence says there seems to be pros and cons when it comes to Formula W. Cecilia makes some great points. Hey, that's right. Here you go, Taryn. Thank you, Taryn. Andrew says here. Hey, Larry and Cecilia, sorry I'm late. Was driving to work. Loving the show so far. Well, glad to have you, Andrew. Thanks for joining us, man. Terrence says Formula 1 should test this whole Formula W thing out. If it works, keep it. If not, but the talented female racers in Formula 1, and so on and so on. Just my take. Okay. Carol is just jumping all over Cecilia with Preach Girl. Just logging in. Well, glad to have you once again, Carol, for tuning in. Terrence says, women can do things just as good as men can, in my opinion. There you go. Of course, Carol a few minutes ago saying that women can give birth but not play football. And of course, let's see you have a kid. Terrence says, I don't disagree with your opinion, Larry. Thank you very much. Andrew, women can play football, but like Larry said, hits from Garrett, monster, Watt, monster, Donald, monster, would be nasty and can severely injure women. Now, I've seen women be excellent kickers and even punters, and that's what we're talking about right now. Carol, amen. And he says, I wouldn't want to play. Freedom of choice and speech is everything. I completely agree.
That's Totally agreeable.
And I think Carol Evans has more of a go here. Take Mulan, for instance. Mm-hmm. Warrior princess, all right? I don't know if she's a princess, but warrior.
I don't think she is.
Freaking warrior. Okay, and just so you guys know, yeah, in Sparta, in the ancient, with good old Sparty, okay? Well, Sparty, but Sparta, guess what? Women were actually warriors, guys. There were women that were freaking warriors and would go out there and battle with swords and crap. Guess what? They were pretty tough. So what I'm saying is, there's no such thing as a woman that's not tough, but or a woman that can't make herself really tough. But what I'm saying is I don't know. I guess this is just be kind of tough to see. But anyway, plus you have to think about helmet-to-helmet hits too. Absolutely, Andrew. Taryn, you also have to factor in possible injuries as well. Larry literally read my mind. You can't turn off injuries like in Madden in a video game. Absolutely. As a soccer person, Larry is right. There you go, Andrew. See, and Andrew, by the way, the host of our soccer show here on iSports Radio. Taryn, the host of our volleyball show, says, I think volleyball is a woman-dominant sport as well. In terms of the U.S., the men aren't bad, but not as great as the women. That's what I gathered. No, I completely agree, babe. That's a completely different animal. But volleyball. I mean, are you fond of volleyball, babe?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I haven't really watched it or paid attention to like the rules and stuff like that, but I mean, that obviously takes talent and skills to do as well. And that seems like you can take a beating with that as well. I mean, it seems intense from what I've seen, but I mean, like I said, I never really watched it, so yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's a good sport as well.
Volleyball is freaking awesome because you see some of these plays and it's like, it's so cool because you see how athletic these women really are. And I just want to pull up a quick video for Cecilia and I to watch real quick, but look at how high they get off the ground. Take a look at just how skilled. I mean, you see these rallies and boom, boom, diving, boom, boom, set, boom, save. Look at these digs. Look at how athletic you have to be.
Yeah, you really have to act fast too. Have fast response.
I mean, this rally has lasted a good 30 seconds already. And look at this. I mean, just the amount of skill. Look at the ball is still alive. It is barely.
That's pretty cool.
It's a lot of work. And these women are very talented athletes.
Yeah.
So, I agree. Taryn says here, of course, going to jump on here and continue. He says, Daniel Carlson is a good kicker. War Eagle. Hey, he is for the Raiders. I'll take Carl Browns over Parkey. Carly Lloyd. And I will challenge you to a fight, my brother. We want Carly Lloyd. You can have Cody Parkey. I'll take Carly Lloyd any day. Daniel Carlson is a great kicker, don't get me wrong, but I'll take Carly right now, right easily, alright? Yeah, the Raiders will draft, Savannah Tucker in the first round. Oh my gosh, stop it, Darren. Is this gonna be crazy, but just kidding, the Jets will draft Tucker at, number 2. I would, and then, and it says here, I would, women are, I think he would say, I would say, or he said that, but women are better golfers as well than a lot of men in the PGA. No, the LPGA Tour is also yet another, man, but can you believe it? Some of the best golfers in the women are actually in the LPGA, the ladies pro golf tournament, or pro association.
I think men are just in denial, that's all. They hate to see women better than themselves in any kind of sport, and hence that's why they try to limit the women so that they don't look bad, I guess.
I agree. I really agree. There's a lot of women out there that can show up a man in a lot of things, and I'm just going to be real. I think when you look at Formula One, I do believe that there are some people at the top that kind of just don't want to see a woman actually win a race or two, maybe a championship. What do you think?
Yeah. Just, yeah. Them being silly, I guess.
I agree.
That's a nice word for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew says here in the chat room, no, not Lloyd. All right, well, hey, we'll fight for her then. But I do want to bring this up because this is a great thing here. Daryl Kinsey Jr., as a matter of fact, is our... but the extra mile, by the way, coming back, babe. We've got a couple more weeks until we get racing back. Cool, right? The Rolex 24 IMSA's coming up. So we have 3 weeks until Rolex 24 in IMSA, and 3 weeks until January 28th when the Extra Mile returns. We get IndyCar, Formula One, NASCAR, all kinds of really cool stuff coming back, the NHRA. So that's all coming. And I wanted to play this little clip here from Daryl because, once again, they revisited this about a year back, and this was Daryl's take. I did ask Daryl for this as well, and I did want to you guys. So, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is Daryl Kinsey Jr. and his take on Formula W.
Hey everyone, it's Daryl Kinsey Jr., the host of The Extra Mile, and I have been asked by Larry B to give my thoughts on the W Series. A couple of years ago, when the FIA announced this series, which is an all-women's racing series sanctioned by the FIA, myself and my co-hosts on The Extra Mile were skeptical. There's no physical barriers preventing a woman to be equal when racing a car, because at the end you're driving a car, not dribbling a basketball or, God forbid, playing American football. And two, it does nothing to fix the issues of women not being able to sponsorship competent rides in the flagship series, especially those series that are designed as feeder series to Formula One. To segregate the women out into a lesser series, and that is what the W Series is, it does not have the advertising or following as, say, the Formula 3. Into what is basically a separate equal series does not help those issues. In fact, it will further exasperate them. Because just like the WNBA, my fear is that the series will be disrespected because the top drivers that are in Formula 3 will not be competing against these women in the W Series. In my opinion, this is a series where the money could have been better spent trying to help these women get decent rides in the actual F1 ladder system.
Thank you very much, Daryl Kinsey Jr. I think he deserves an applause as well. Good stuff,
Yeah.
Huh? Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, and that's also Pippa Man. Pippa Man said that. Why not just sponsor women with that money? If the W Series is fully funded, these women don't got to pay for lunch. They don't got to pay for meals. Well, they don't pay for anything. They don't got to pay for their car. They don't got to pay for...
They just have to make sure they show up.
That's it. Babe, what's the difference of taking that money, being a sponsor together, or making a team even, or putting that money towards a driver, a female driver, on an already developed F1 team? What's the difference?
There's a difference.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you can kind of see the...
In reality, they're like wasting money. No, I mean, not really, because obviously, women, they want to do this, but still, they could put it towards just the actual racing itself.
Exactly. And as Daryl Kinsey Jr. just said, he fears that it'll be like the WNBA that gets disrespected. Which, don't get me wrong, those women can ball. I'll tell you right now. Diana Taurasi, ball. Sue Bird, ball. Okay? Deladon, ball. Okay? And don't even get me on Candace Parker now of the LA Sparks. I'm just saying, Miss Candace Parker's the real deal. I'm a Sparks fan. They're awesome. Those women can ball. It really irritates me. That these women are overlooked because they're women. And the WNBA is this cute little league for them to play in. And though there are physical differences, I just don't like the fact that they get disrespected. Yep. So with that said, that will be our discussion on this topic for tonight. We're going to look at a few more comments, but and that's right. Taryn says here, Andrew says, I actually enjoy women who dominate sports. Doesn't make me feel inferior at all. And I agree.
That's awesome.
What's wrong with a woman being good at her craft?
Yeah.
I work very hard at being the best athlete that I can be. And you know what? If a woman's going to do the same thing, then good for her.
Yeah, exactly. Women work just as hard as men do, so why not give them their fair share?
And still have babies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to think, I think it's true, that women know how to multitask pretty well.
How about that? Be a great look at Alex Morgan. By the way, can we give her an applause? Morgan just had her first child this last past year in 2020.
Nice.
Number 13 of the U.S. women's national soccer team just had a child. She's a wife. Let's get this straight. Alex Morgan is a wife, a mother. Oh, and did I forget to mention she's a 2-time freaking Women's World Cup champion and Olympic gold medalist?
Wow.
For soccer? She's only, what, 31, 32, 30?
She's pretty young.
And she just had her first child. Her and her husband are doing great. I'm sure everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? She had the baby. I'm sure she's doing her thing, being an awesome mom. And you know where she's going to be this summer? Playing soccer.
Nice.
And dominating. And still being the small Alex Morgan that we have seen from years ago. But now, with not only her husband cheering her on, but a baby too. How do you like that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome.
And it goes to prove that women can do it all.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So first, a couple more comments. Taryn, ditto, Andrew. 13 more days until the Extra Mile returns. Season 5 and staying alive. Absolutely. And then Sabrina Ionesco. So, by the way, I know Sabrina I mentioned there from Taryn, but Sabrina Ionesco, amazing player. But here he says, Sabrina Ionesco, she can ball. Lisa Leslie can ball. And now, some of those, Rebecca Lobo. I mean, we can go to some legendary players in the WNBA too. But at the end of the day, y'all, those are our final thoughts. It's not... Okay, let's wrap it up for this segment before we get on to our next segment. It's not a bad thing. Right, babe? The W Series, give it to me. What is the W Series to you? Now that we've gone through all of that, what is the W Series to you right now as it stands?
I think it's a good start for right now, but I hope and pray that it'll progress to it being gender equal and the women will be able to race against the men to prove that it's just a car that they're driving, and obviously it's the driver who is the best, no matter what gender they are.
I completely agree. And you know what else? I would hope that the W Series sticks around. After the W Series produces its first major woman who comes out and races in Formula One one day, I want the W Series to stay around. To continue to produce great women in Formula One. And maybe go into other sports. How do we know that series, maybe they won't go to Formula One, babe. Maybe the W Series will produce a woman who's like, you know what? Maybe I just can't get a sponsor in Formula One. But I can go to IndyCar. I can go on over to IndyCar. Maybe I can go to the NHRA. I like driving fast. Maybe they'll want to go into that. Maybe, and after they see the skills, I mean, it's a different type of racing, but still, maybe they'll get into stock car racing and go race in NASCAR.
Yeah. So possibility of... Well, never mind. I forgot what I was going to say.
Maybe they'll become a sports car driver and go race in IMSA.
Multiple possibilities.
Multiple possibilities. I think we both agree here that we want the league to stick around.
Yeah, but also that women will have their share with the men as well and be seen as equals.
Completely agree. So with that said, y'all, that's actually going to do it for our first segment. I'm really glad that we went on and chose a different time this time around, because we're going to definitely go over an hour in this show tonight. We're at 49 minutes, and we're going to take ourselves a break, get us some water, move around for a little bit, but don't go nowhere, y'all, because when we get back, we will be talking about our movie of the week, a movie we watched a little bit ago, Friday Night Lights, starring Billy Bob Thornton and some other actors that I totally forgot. Who else is in there, babe?
Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw! I didn't even know that was Tim McGraw until my woman was like, Tim McGraw's in this movie. And I was like, are you serious? I didn't even know that was him. She didn't even say Tim McGraw. She just said, oh, he's married to Faith Hill. And I didn't put it together. So after the...
Because I had forgotten his name for a second until the end, where it showed his name. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He's a country singer.
So we are definitely going to get into that in a little bit. But with that said, y'all, We're going to take ourselves a short break, and when we get back, it's about time to talk about our movie of the week, Friday Night Lights. You are listening on a Friday night. You are listening to the Sports Couple Perspective right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Dave the Fried Man here to tell you about the newest IE Sports Radio show, the Kansas City Shuffle. We'll be talking football, reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, baseball, your 2015 World Series Royals, college hoops, college football, and much to Ryan's delight, hockey.
Oh, wow.
Make sure you catch up with us on Twitter at KC Shuffle Show. You can also catch up with my colleague Ryan the Pezquire at the Pezquire Fool
on Twitter.
Make sure you check us out on IE Sports Radio at 6 p.m. Central Time to 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
And Ryan, any final words for the listeners?
Yeah, come on in, enjoy the winning we've been having here in Kansas City lately, and don't be jealous. Bye-bye.
IE Sports Radio,
your direct feed for all things sports. Nope, that's not it. Cut that.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Did you miss us? I hope you did. We hope you did, because we're coming right on back. You're listening to the Sports Couple Perspective right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Larry B here along with my beautiful girlfriend, lovely Cecilia. We are back to get on into our movie review for the week. Just a reminder, every week we're going to have a segment like how we just had, where we're going to talk about some kind of issue or matter or something going on in sports. Then we're going to probably have another segment in here talking about actual sports, because Cecilia did mention that she wanted to actually get into sports and talk about them. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to get too crazy. We'll have some scores, some stats. For instance, next week we'll probably talk about the playoffs. We got the playoffs coming up. We've got a whole bunch of primetime face-offs coming up tomorrow and the whole bit. But we got here, tomorrow we got a whole bunch of football coming up this weekend, as a matter of fact. We have here Colts taking on the Bills. Rams taking on the Seahawks, and Buccaneers taking on the Washington football team, all tomorrow and Wild Card Weekend. And then on Sunday it continues as the Ravens take on the Titans, the Bears take on the Saints, and the Browns take on the Steelers. This time next week we'll be talking about getting ready for divisional round, and we'll recap some of those games. We also have the National Championship on Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, as Ohio State takes on Alabama, the best two teams in college football. Sully and I will be watching that game on Monday night. Excited to, talk about it. We'll probably talk about that, too, on next week's show. So it's football season. Talk a little football. What do you think, babe?
Yeah, sounds good.
See? There you go. So I just volunteered her right now for that game. She's like, wait, what? But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are time to get into our movie review to talk a little bit about Friday Night Lights. So, overall, Friday Night Lights is a movie about a 1988 Odessa Permian Panthers team. Coached by, I forgot the actual, Coach Gaines, I believe was his name.
Yeah, that was his name.
Coach Gaines. And he, I don't know if his actual name in real life, or if they changed his name, but regardless, coached up a very good football team. The last the last state championship they won was in 1984, at least what it said on their little stadium on the wall. And, well, they were going for another one in 1988. They take on a very tough Carter football team. I believe that, of course, the name was probably changed. But who knows? Regardless, the team was full of big, giant monsters, and they overcame. They dang near won the dang thing, but came up just short. Lost in the final play of the game. Mm-hmm. Final score, at least from the movie's perspective, was 34-28. But they faced so much adversity throughout the entire season. It really goes into depth that shows you, what high school football can really be. You have the very talented yet slightly, I use that very loosely, conceited or arrogant player that, pushed his arrogance a little too far. Unfortunately, something bad happened. He got injured, which sucks. You have the player whose father literally living through him, and it looks like he's forcing him to play the game. But, is a little too hands-on and abusive even.
Verbally and physically.
You have the player who doesn't even speak a whole bunch till the very end, who like lights a fire under the whole entire team.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
That was interesting. And you have it all. This team is it just shows you a lot of high school football and about how dedicated these teams are, how dedicated the players are, how dedicated the fans are that live in the city. They all close down at 7 o'clock their time and get to the football game, and how supportive they are. And it's a really good football movie, and it goes to show you, the heart and soul, but unfortunately, come up short sometimes. Mm-hmm. And the passing of the torch at the end, and just all kinds of great stuff. So, with a little background there of the movie, Beb, give me your thoughts. I want every thought about the movie. Give me your full-on review, your thoughts of this whole entire thing, and what you really felt watching this movie today while we were watching it together.
This was my first time watching it. I don't think I've ever heard of it, but I thought it was a really good movie, very intense. Just seeing how hard the students worked for, playing on the team and playing football, and how much it really meant to them, even going through their own little things in their personal lives, but they fought really hard to play the sport and try to win the championship, right? Or what was it?
State championship.
To me, it was worth the watch. Obviously, I had to ask Larry a couple questions because I don't really understand football, but, it was worth it.
She's learning, y'all. She's learning.
I would recommend it to people, especially who like sports, who love football, and, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a great review. Thanks, Ben. Great review there of the movie. And overall, I just felt the same thing. Once again, our coach actually took us home in high school as like a team bonding thing to watch this movie when it came out. Mm-hmm. And we really enjoyed it. It's a movie that, and it's kind of funny, but whenever this movie is on, I don't usually watch it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I don't usually watch it. But I'll tell you what, I certainly enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it before watching when we did. And I've only seen it a few times since. That's why I didn't really know too much of it. And, I had to, kind of watch it for the first time in a long time. But, yeah, overall, we see a story of a coach who, it really, honestly, I think it lets you into how serious... Number one thing, it lets you into how serious people take football in Texas.
I never knew how serious people could take a sport. But, to each his own, I guess.
Absolutely. And how about that, babe?
Especially if you live, breathe it.
Oh, absolutely. How about Texas? Close down the city on Friday nights to gather and watch the game?
I thought that was pretty crazy because obviously they all love that sport. So, hey, if they all, do that to support their local school, then so be it. That's pretty cool that they do that for them.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
It's neat because I envy that. That's not California football, that's Texas football.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever, you of course, babe, we were in high school at the same exact time. I played. You were a student. Of course, we didn't go to the same high school.
No.
But, babe, how serious were Friday night games for you guys as students?
I don't know, because I guess I wasn't but I wasn't part of that world, so I wasn't involved in all that, so I don't know how serious my school took football and everything like that, so yeah, sorry.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. We had our fellow student body come out, and a lot of them did, but when it came down to it, the city wasn't shutting down. The restaurants and gas stations across the street and everything like that, they weren't closing down. Mm-mm. Right? Same thing with your high school. It was a game on Friday night. And guess what? It started at 7, ended about 9:30, 10. Mm-hmm. And that was it. Mm-hmm. Right? It wasn't this big old extravaganza. So, in Texas, we clearly see there's a big difference.
Yeah.
But in this movie, We get to see, though, and by the way, Taryn says, yeah, tomorrow, with the NFL playoffs starting, is basically Larry's Christmas Part 2. Oh, absolutely agree. And Taryn says here, everything's bigger in Texas. Well, hey, they definitely...
I think that's true.
Definitely their football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I completely agree. So, I'll tell you right now, guys, as a football player my whole life, well, almost my whole life, and just as a big fan of the game, and just, you know, once again, as a previous high school player, college player, and now semi-pro player, I'll tell you what, this game really does this movie captures the essence of what it's all about. I honestly will tell you that this movie will kind of pull on the heartstrings a little bit in different ways. Not like oh no, I'm gonna cry, but
it's not a tearjerker.
It's not a tearjerker, but what would you call it, babe? Like it definitely gets your emotions involved. What would you call that?
Well, yeah, because I mean, they kind of form a story around some of the individuals of the students or the players, just to get their perspective. But I mean, I don't know what yeah, like you said, like it pulls on some of the emotional strings, not to make you cry fully, but just to feel for them, basically.
Absolutely. You can see, like, for instance, and this is oh my gosh, this one, I think the one that got Cecilia the most, emotional roller coaster, absolutely, Taryn. I think the one that got Cecilia the most was Keith Urban, actually. Or sorry, Keith Urban. Tim McGraw.
Oh, yeah.
Being the abusive father figure that basically, that as Cecilia said, emotionally and physically abused his son for, of course he had a little case of fumbleitis, dropping the ball, but I'll let her explain it further to you. But I think if there was more of a part that kind of captured her emotions, it was that storyline inside the movie.
Well, yeah, because no parent should ever treat their child that way, or anybody for that matter in that way. So no one. I don't like seeing that, not even in movies or in real life. So I think that's what really got to me. And then surprising too that I've never seen Tim McGraw play a bad person, so it was kind of interesting to see him in that perspective.
That was pretty cool. Taryn says, I regret not fully being involved in football until my senior year of high school. I'm not trying to relive those days, but you can never get back to your high school days. Absolutely agree, Taryn. And yeah, man, well, hey, as long as you had a cool senior year and you played, that's awesome, man. So I'm glad you were a part of that. But absolutely, a parent shouldn't ever do that, put their hands on their child in such a way, but when they're older and literally tear them down in front of their teammates, their friends. And of course he was a drunk, played a drunk, and that's unfortunate. But I will say this. That young man was tough.
Yeah.
His son was definitely tough.
He survived it. Pushed through the game, so.
Unfortunately, he had to answer to his father a lot of the time, which was really messed up. But I can definitely say that, it definitely gave him some character. So, as in going to football games, not playing. Oh, sorry, Taryn. Well, there you go. But hey, at least he was involved somehow. But with that said, though, good stuff there. As for coaching, remember that that scene where those two men were talking to Billy Bob Thornton, aka Coach Gaines, in the movie, and we're basically saying, like, hey, you're gonna go win, in a couple of days. And Billy Bob Thornton, Coach Gaines replies, yeah, well, Carter's a tough team. He says, and then the man responded, well, we're a pretty tough team too. And he says, well, we're gonna go out there and do our best. He says, and now you're gonna win, basically. He says, or else what? And the man responded, well, just go in. We can see here that in college, major Division I college football, it's the coach's head usually. If they don't win within a couple of years, they're going to fire them. You can kind of see here that, at least in Texas high school football, It's a big possibility Coach Gaines might have lost his job if that game wouldn't have been very competitive in the state championship. What do you think about the sincerity of that coaching position, babe?
That seems very hard to take on. It seems like it's a risk you have to be willing to take. But, I mean, it sucks that... I know every sport, it's all about winning, but it really should be more... I mean, yes, about winning, yes. But at the same time, it should be more about how the team has grown. Because, I mean, they work really hard to get where, you know, they are. And obviously, if their team wasn't the best, they wouldn't have made it to the championship.
Completely agree.
So, I mean, they should count that as a good thing. I mean, I know when you win, you get trophies and you get rings and stuff like that. But, I mean, those are just items. They're just materials. You know, you don't... Yeah. After all that, it's just... Yeah, I don't know where I'm really going with that. But, yeah, they should make certain things count more. In that perspective, I guess, or in that world.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think Cecilia's definitely getting on to the last question of the night. She's segueing really well into that, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes. But, you know, just to go into the storylines a little bit more. We also talk about one thing that Cecilia was like, oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. And I said the same thing. She says it's still the same way. I said, I don't know, high school football changes all the time. But the coin flip, babe. The coin flip. How about the coin flip? Getting into the playoffs, it was a 3-team tie at the top of the league. And basically, the 2 teams who flipped heads would go on to the playoffs, and the one team that got tails, well, and the 3 coaches all flipped for it, and the 2 coaches that got heads went on, and the one coach who flipped for tails, they unfortunately had to sit out the playoffs, even though they all had the same record. Babe, how about that?
I thought that was a little crazy. I don't know personally how I would settle the 3-way tie, but they should have picked something better, because, I mean, that's more of a chance. It's like a 50-50 chance. It's not really considering skill or effort in that matter. Hopefully they figured out a better way to figure some of those stuff out, but yeah, that was just funny to me for me at least. Yeah,
completely agree. And I can tell you right now, yeah, Taryn says here, oh well, he erased it, but we'll get back to it in a few minutes. But I do like what Taryn says here, and this is going to segue us pretty much into the end of the show and the last comments here of the movie. But the last thing I want to leave with these movie reviews are, babe, and you were going already into it. Okay? You were already going into it. But the lesson, the life lesson that this movie gives you, tie it in to what you're, like for instance, if you were watching this movie, well, you watched it today.
Yeah, I did.
Duh. We watched it today together. But what did you take away from this movie that maybe could have given you something, like, life-wise? Maybe not for you, but you can see, like, how this could be for these players moving forward. You were already going into it, basically, but I'm just going to go into, like, life lesson or moral of the movie in some way. Not just for enjoyment, but something extra to take from the movie. What would that be, my love?
I don't know. Like, I can understand them being hard on their teams and stuff like that. But also being proud and happy for their players to achieve the certain goals that they need to meet. Like, if they have, trouble with a certain thing. Taryn said, trophies and medals are temporary, memories last forever, and I totally agree with that. That basically goes to what I was saying earlier, is that, those are just temporary, and they're just things. Yes, there's something to be proud of because you worked hard for it, but at the same time, they got to be at the championship, so they obviously worked hard for it. If they didn't, then obviously they weren't, such a good team. And yeah, I mean, basically that, they work hard for everything that they worked hard for. But, yeah, I mean, they should just see that as a good thing and move on.
I completely agree. I think that was a wonderful sum up there. So great job, babe. You earned yourself an applause there. I'll tell you that. Great, nicely said. Wonderful job. And I completely agree. Not everything in life is about winning. I understand that. Which leads me to how I take the movie, of course, as a player. Cecilia being a non-player, and of course, not really even a sports fan until recently. Like, literally just recently, getting into it. But it's true. Winning isn't everything. The great Vince Lombardi once said, if winning isn't everything, then why do they keep score? Now, I agree with that. Because it definitely is everything up to a point.
Yes.
Yes. Losing that game hurt like hell, I'm sure. Or hurt like heck. Mm-hmm. Okay? For all those players. But you know what else hurt? More than anything? For those seniors, not being able to have another season.
Yeah.
Because I know that I had some friends that played high school football. And you know what? I'm still playing till this day. I got to play college and everything. Back in November of 2006, my senior year, there were some guys that I played with on that very field that played the last game they'll ever play. I'm blessed to still keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed that God still let me play this game. But I'll tell you what hurts the most, not losing that championship game. Of course, they lost in the biggest stage, but at least they can say they got there.
Yeah, exactly.
And what Cecilia was saying, I completely agree. That they took so much more away from that game than the trophy that they would have won if they would have won it.
Mm-hmm.
They learned life lessons. And the way I see it is very simple, guys. As an athlete, of course, you're going to tie your sport to it. But as I was telling Cecilia earlier, football is life, guys. This is the way I see it. It's going to beat you down. Of course, Rocky said that, so I'm not going to take it away from Rocky. But it's gonna tear you up. It's going to rip you apart. You're going to lose a lot more probably than you're going to win. But you know something? It's going to help you to build character. It's going to help you to build to be tougher. And football could be that one thing that could honestly be that driving force that makes you the fighter you are in your career one day. It has for me. I've learned how to fight. I fought for my degrees. Years and years I fought for those dang things. I'm fight for a job. When you get to a job, you want to fight for that higher position. You're not trying to hurt anybody. All you're doing is competing. The way that you used to compete, the same exact way that you would compete in drills back in football and compete back on the football field when you played, is the same exact way that I believe you'll compete for life and everything in it. Football's a game of inches. And I'll tell you what, in life, every inch counts.
Mm-hmm.
When you're fighting for something that really matters, like football. Like your job. Or like anything.
Or in life in general.
With your family or anything. And I really do believe that you got to be a fighter. So that's what I took away from this movie. And Cecilia absolutely hit it on the head. That those young men took a lot more with them than the trophy that they would have won. Now, don't get me wrong. The champions, Carter, or whatever the Rural High School was called, of course, they took a lot with them too. They won a championship. They got a lot. But at the end of the day, both those teams definitely took a lot from that and won a victory. So, Terrence says here, coin flips are the dumbest tiebreaker for high school sports, especially if it means a team has to miss the playoffs. My school was on the wrong end of a coin flip, which resulted in tears from the players, in tears, and the coach in saying, we lost by a coin flip, a bleeping coin flip. It's baloney.
Yeah, that's just crazy. It's an unfair advantage.
There's got to be something different.
They have to figure out another way to come up with some kind of agreement.
Yeah, that's complete crap.
And not no stinking coin flip.
Freaking coin flip. Can you believe that? But anyway, with that said, y'all, that will do it. But I'll tell you, that right there is a good movie. So final, I know I said earlier, final question, but all right, babe, give it to us. What do you think? If you got to give this movie a grade, give it something, some kind of a rating. If you have to give it a grade, okay, and you can trust me, you can go at minus, plus 2, if you got to give this movie a grade for sports fans, especially from somebody who's a brand new sports fan, getting new to the sport, getting new to football, what would you give that movie today? Brutally honest.
I think I would give it an A.
Oh, an A, huh?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting an A. I mean,
it was pretty good. I liked it.
She's a movie buff, y'all. Cecilia can watch some movies. I'll tell you that right now. She watched some good movies, too. She's got me into some really good movies. So, I know, trust me. I mean, she just definitely knows her movies. So, getting that grade for this movie, that's pretty darn impressive, in my opinion. So, good job to the director of that movie. You got her to give you an A. I definitely got to give it an A as well. I enjoy that movie. I believe it shows a lot of, the struggles in football and in life in general.
I think what makes it even better, too, though, like I said earlier, is that it's because it's based on a true story. So it has more meaning than just a movie that's fictional.
I agree. I completely agree. So, with that said, we both give it A's. And if you are a football fan and you have not seen this movie yet,
it's worth the watch.
It's worth the watch. Go check it out. We definitely recommend it, and that will be that. So, with that said, next week, y'all, we'll be... this time we'll actually be on time. Sorry, we're 7:15 this time, our time. But 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern next week. We look forward to giving y'all another good show. Haven't decided on a movie just yet. It's going to be football. And, of course, we'll be talking some more. We'll be talking probably some NFL playoffs. Next week, we'll be talking about the National Championship. Of course, the College Football Playoff National Championship that will be taking place on Monday. Taryn says, I will watch Friday Night Lights. We'll enjoy it, man. It's a good movie. Let us know what you think about it next week in the comments. Yeah. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today, of course. The lovely Miss Carol, Mr. Taryn, and Mr. Andrew, and everybody else who listened, who wasn't in the chat room. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Babe, any last words for our listeners here tonight?
No, thank you for listening, and y'all stay safe and healthy. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening.
There it is, y'all. So with that said, I think we know what time it is, y'all. Cue the music, because we're out of here. With that said, y'all, that's going to do it for tonight's episode. The inaugural episode of the Sports Couple Perspective. Right here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. It has been a fun one. Next week, as I was mentioning, got some NFL talk, some college football talk, and we'll have a brand new football movie that we'll be bringing to you to review, and some more topics. Another fun topic next week in the sports world. Get ready. We're coming your way. With that said, y'all, for my beautiful girlfriend Cecilia, and for me, your boy Larry B, that's gonna do it. We will see you next week. Until then, take care, and as always, God bless.